So what I was saying in my last video, how it's hard to hear our intuition, that it's easy when it comes to doing your passion, all these other things, but when it comes to making like big life decisions, it's hard to hear our intuition because we don't know if it's fear or our intuition leading us away. So yesterday I spent pretty much all day in self-reflection to try to come up with answers. It's not going to just be one day. I'm going to have to do it over and over before I come up with a conclusion on what my decision is. But you have to pay attention to the signs and synchronicities. You can spend all day overthinking, but if you're not paying attention to the signs and synchronicities, then you won't know what's your intuition or fear. So what I started to come up with is that I started to envision what my life would look like in Toronto. And somehow, since my perception has changed and I'm more tapped into a heal mindset, whereas before I was looking at all the negative Toronto and not seeing anything positive about it. So what I started to come up with is I started to see what my life would look like how I saw what my life would look like when I came to Spain. So my kids are being loud in the background, and before I wouldn't record a video unless she was taking a nap because I didn't want noise in the background. I wanted you to be able to hear what I'm saying. But now I'm at the point where when the message needs to come out, it comes out when it needs to. If I wait until later, then I won't feel that spark. I won't feel that inspiration, and the message will become foggy. Even when I write it out, it's like I almost exerted all that energy writing out the message, and then when I go to say it, it's like I'm reading off a paper, which doesn't feel that authentic, and I don't feel that inspiration of what I'm meant to say because the download is coming in right now. So what made me want to leave Toronto and stop me from going back to Toronto is basically the weather, the food, not having as much laws as what they have here. So a lot of the food is not good, red dyes, all these things that they're using to poison you, just like they're doing in the States. But we don't have enough information on it because everything they're talking about the States, but people in Canada are not standing up and talking about what they're doing. And 85% of the people being fake and not authentic and wearing a mask. You find that a lot of that happens in a big city. And what makes me stay here is the weather, the food's good quality, you get sun all year round, nature, being able to ground yourself, and all these things that I was like, okay, that's the be all end all, that's the most important, I'll go for that, and the other things will come into fruition when the time is right. So now that I've been self-reflecting and tapping into my intuition, my perception is changing. That is weather the most important, good food is important, but can you make it possible where you eat from organic places and all these things where you do your research in Toronto to get that food that's the best quality? When the season is, you buy food that's in season. You go to the local markets when it's summertime and get all the things from the farm. There are people that are woke. I've met those people constantly throughout my life. Just like the writing group, I met like-minded souls. I went to spoken word events and I would perform and I would meet other like-minded souls. And then community. Even though 85% of the population is fake and wearing a mask, I have met people throughout my life that are not wearing a mask, that are like-minded, that are authentic, that it doesn't not exist there, and I speak the language. Like, yeah, I could learn the language and speak the language here, but it would still take years for me to do that, to get fluent in it. And I love speaking in English. Like, I really thoroughly enjoy speaking in English and having conversation in that, as I'm a writer, constantly talking in English. And then I've compared the communities. So it's like I've been here for almost a year, and I've been going out, I've been meeting people. It's like a small town, so you see kind of the same people all the time. And it's still the people that I've met so far I haven't been excited about. I'm not saying there's not a chance for me to meet people, but in comparison to Toronto, the chance is a lot higher because I speak the language and because people think on the same wavelength as me that are like-minded. Whereas here, I don't have that as often. So even though I'm going to miss out on certain things like nature, grounding, sunlight all year round, and food quality, all these things, it's like, what is the most important in the long run? And that's what I've been reassessing, is that for me, when I think about it, is supporting community. That's actually the most important, where I thought these other factors were more important and that it's okay, I'll be a lone wolf doing it alone. But now that I've done all the healing, it's like my perception is changing. So that's when we pay attention to our intuition and knowing that we're not making a decision based on fear, because our intuition is showing us signs and getting our perceptions to change, that that place that I came from wasn't so horrible as I was making out to be. I could make a life there if I choose to, just like if I could make a life there if I choose to. My intuition is not showing me how to make a life here, because there's like a block, like what I said when I felt when I was in Toronto, there was a block. So it's like, that's how I know that maybe my decision is supposed to go back to Toronto, because my perception is changing. My perception is changing where the block is being removed from that place. When it was meant for me to come here, there was a block of me staying, that my perception was completely the opposite. But when I came here, now after being here for this long a time and experiencing it, now there's a block here of that you did what you need to do, and now it's time to move on. It's like, even though I'm going to miss the things what I mentioned, it's still more worth it for me to go back if I have support in the community. That are the most crucial things for my life, and the kids have the best opportunities to be involved in all these things. And they speak English, so they're not going to have to struggle learning this language, which they are right now. So it's like, and yeah, I know if they stay here, over time they'll get to learn it, but it's like, isn't community and support and all that stuff, for me, I'm realizing that that's more important. That's more important than nice weather all year round. I'm even shifting my perception about winter, being like, okay, I'll do winter sports then. I'll get the kids sledding, skating, doing all these things, so that we don't feel like we have to be inside, that we can actually do things that are fun. Dress up, layer up, and you won't feel cold, right? So it's like, my perception even changing on that winters are not as horrible as you're making out to be. They don't last as long as you think. Just do the things that you can enjoy in the winter. And there will still be some things that I don't like about there, that I'm like, people that are not well, that are walking around the streets doing weird stuff, like violence. All of these things are things that I'm like, oh, is it really worth going back? Because I'm safe here. I'm in a place that it's safe, that you don't experience those things. I'm not saying they don't happen, but it's very rare that it happens. And another reason why I chose it is because the kids are safe. But at the end of the day, I was still safe in Toronto, and I didn't experience those people that are unwell doing anything to me, and I didn't experience like violence like that. So it's like, I've lived there for 35 years of my life, and I didn't have that experience of anything really impacting me. So being afraid to move somewhere because of something that is like a what if, that could be a potential, is not the reason to stop you. And then I'm staying here and isolating myself in a bubble just to be safe, so that the kids are safe and they grow up being safe. And it's like, anywhere you go, if you just are aware and teach your kids how to be street smart, then they will be safe as well. So basically, I'm using all these examples to show you that my perception is shifting. I had a completely different perception before, and that is my intuition. That's the signs that the universe is trying to tell you that all the answers are within you, that your perception is shifting because there's a reason for that, that maybe you're meant to go back because now you see things from a different light. Whereas if you went back with that same perception that like, oh, I gave up something that I had that was good in the new place in Spain that I came to, it's like your perception shifting is to allow you to see that you didn't give up on the new place. You just realized that new place, you tried it and it doesn't have exactly what you want. I'm not saying it's not possible to get what you want, but the likelihood is rare. And even if you get certain things, like if I get a community, is it going to be the community that I want? If I get a job here, is it going to be the job that really is tapping into my passion? Like, am I not going to be able to work on my passion because of lack of support?